Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a review for Gotham Knights, the TV show that premiered this last week. It's a TV show that a lot of people just were not looking forward to, myself included, but I was still going to give it a chance. And, with that, we have the first impressions. My expectations, as you can imagine, were very low. I did a reaction. It was one of the first videos I actually ever did for my channel. And that first trailer that they put out last year at Comic-Con, it just was very underwhelming and just...
What the fuck is this?
I spared no words in reviewing that trailer. It looked, for lack of a better word, it looked fucking terrible. And, with that, I had no expectations for the show. The 8-month wait that we had to actually watch the show and see what it was all about and see if these characters and the show as a whole were worth giving it a chance. It premiered this last week, and from what I'm understanding, people are still tearing it apart. But we're not really going to go into that. We're going to go into really what I thought about it. What I really thought about, I guess, was going into it, again, no expectations for the show. I was going to go into the show ready to hate it and tear it apart. And just the trailer did such a poor job to sell the show, and it just really looked like CW was really reaching for the glory days of when the Arrow first premiered and just the follow-ups with the different shows that it had in the early days of The Flash. And with The Flash coming to a close, they were really probably losing a lot of their target audience. Well, at least what their target audience used to be, because from everything I've heard, the CW is kind of going off in its own direction and just kind of pulling away from all of these types of shows. But it looks like they still wanted to kind of give it a Hail Mary and do this show a solid and give it a chance. And so, being that I am a sucker for these kinds of shows, I was still willing to give it a chance, and I wanted to kind of break down the good and the bad of the show, because surprisingly, there is a little bit of good to the point where I will probably give it a handful of episodes before I dismiss it completely. But the good, kind of starting off, was the little bits of mystery that they had in the show were kind of keeping me interested. I was expecting to turn this on, hear the first little bits of dialogue, and then just turn it off, or at very least lose interest in the show and just kind of let it play in the background while I did other things. It did a good job, at least, of holding my attention for the mystery part of it, and the mystery having to do with the main storyline and some of its characters. The biggest mystery, obviously, is that cold open with the Bruce Wayne that we get for this. Now, Bruce Wayne is kind of a touchy subject for these shows because, obviously, they do not really have permission to fully use that character. I'm sure there's a lot of red tape involved as far as really using the character and establishing a Bruce Wayne, so with this, they did a cold open where they kind of introduced him and then killed him off immediately. And with that, they kind of established kind of a little bit of mystery and intrigue with the fashion in which he was killed off and who it seems is responsible, which is the Court of Owls, which is a secret organization that kind of runs Gotham in the background. You really don't know a whole lot about them, but you know they are very powerful and will go to any lengths to really maintain that power and let it be known that they basically are not to be fucked with. And so starting off with that little bit of mystery or what have you, that was kind of the thing that initially pulled me into the episode. I was like, well, this could be interesting. And then we get our introduction of the handful of characters that are supposed to be kind of the main protagonists for the show. And one of those characters was Dula Dent, who is supposed to be the daughter of the Joker. And just the way that this actress is kind of pulling off this character, it does kind of pull you in and you want to know more. She kind of explains what happened as far as where did the Joker go off to when she was born. Well, it turns out that her and her mother were abandoned in Arkham Asylum where she was born, and the Joker went off and did his own thing and just completely ignored their existence. And she goes off to kind of give this story, and the way she delivers the dialogue and everything, it leaves you kind of wanting a little bit more. So they did a good job in taking this character and kind of making her worth knowing or worth wanting to know more about. And so it continues on with the next character that I found at least halfway interesting, which was Carrie Kelly. She kind of lurks in the background of a couple different scenes. She is kind of there, but at the same time, we really don't know much about her, and we come to find out that she is actually the eyes and ears of Bruce Wayne. She introduces herself during a breakout mission that these kids do, because initially all these kids are arrested for the murder of Bruce Wayne because they are kind of set up in a frame job while they're sent there for one reason, but it actually turns out they're actually sent there to be the patsy or the fall people for the murder of Bruce Wayne. And they all get arrested and it kind of unravels. And with that, we also had the adopted son of Bruce Wayne. He gets himself involved, and it turns out he's actually being set up as well, being the guy that pays these other people to kill Bruce Wayne, which obviously he did not do, at least from what we know from the character so far. But getting back to Carrie Kelly, she intervenes and gets these people out of this prison transport. They're actually going to Blackgate to, for the most part, they're going there to be taken care of, to be dealt with, to be wiped out and cut a loose end. She makes her actual debut helping get these kids out of this situation. She introduces herself as kind of saying that Batman always referred to her as his little Robin, his eyes and ears of the city, and so kind of a nod to Robin the character as far as Batman's partner. She kind of just opens that door to this character, and we are left wanting to know, what more does she know? Why is she Bruce Wayne's eyes and ears? What role did she play in his life? Is, how much training did she actually receive from him? Because she does show up and she has a couple gadgets as far as being part of his little team or whatever. But kind of moving on, to add to the additional mystery of the show is really the Court of Owls. We don't know anything about this organization to kind of start off, but they use them as a drawing point. They are, from everything that we can tell, they are behind the murder of Bruce Wayne. Maybe he stepped out of line. Maybe he was investigating something he shouldn't have been. And then we kind of see all these people that could possibly be involved, which is the arresting officers of these kids and the transport party that is actually there to take them to Blackgate to be dealt with. And we see, as he actually failed to complete his mission, he is dealt with pretty quickly. He's actually beheaded, which is kind of a big thing there on network TV, because it's done in kind of a gruesome and graphic way where they actually show him being beheaded and everything, which is kind of a big deal, I guess, for network TV. But it shows you that this organization, they're willing to go to any measure, really, to prove their point or to protect themselves and deal with people that kind of fail them or fall out of line or what have you. And kind of adding to everything with this, with the Court of Owls, we are introduced earlier in the episode to a butler or a caretaker type that actually takes care of Bruce Wayne's adopted son, that we get another glimpse of at the end of the episode, where she's actually burning Bruce's will, and she's got another one of these coins with the Court of Owls logo on it. And obviously that leads us to believe that she is a part of it. She is maybe even completely responsible for the death of Bruce Wayne and wanting something that he had, or just, there's all kinds of questions left to be answered. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. Moving on from that to the bad, which I'm sure is a lot of what people are actually tearing the show apart about. But anyways, starting off with the bad, with that cold open that we got that I mentioned before, even though it left us with a little bit of mystery and wanting to know a little bit more, the way in which they did it, because we know that Bruce Wayne is a kind of a forbidden character as far as in these CW shows. He's been mentioned multiple times in multiple shows, but we cannot use him as far as establishing an actual character and a face to that character. And that's kind of the thing they did. They introduced this character. We don't know anything about him. We don't have any real ties to him. And then they kill him immediately. So we're left with, well, why should we care? We don't know anything about him or what he's about or what kind of person he is or anything as far as being in this particular world, because this story and what have you is kind of just its own thing. So they kill him, and it's just like, well, oh well. And we see him, and we don't get to really form any connection to that character. So it's just a big, why does it matter if he's dead? We don't know that he was actually important or what he did for this particular city of Gotham or anything. And it's just, and not only that, the thing that kind of bothered me, this is supposed to be Batman, and he gets tossed out a window. You're telling me that Batman's not going to be able to protect himself from being tossed out of window? He's supposed to be a highly trained assassin / one of the best detectives in the world, and he's going to get simply shoved out a window. I didn't buy that. I thought it was kind of stupid. And not only that, this was seen in the trailer. It was the cowl that is supposed to be Batman's cowl, where we see it's like a partial cowl. It's not even a full, it's not even a full overhead cowl. It's just like it's like a fucking Halloween mask for the most part that you would have bought as a kid or whatever. And then we see this cowl on the mangled body of what is supposed to be Bruce Wayne, and it leaves us very underwhelmed because, again, this thing is hideous. It really does no justice to what is supposed to be Batman. And it looks like they showed zero effort in doing this. And again, it could have been a copyright thing where they couldn't do the whole thing. And then it just kind of leaves it to be embarrassing, and the show actually suffers for it. And just, it's a horrible, horrible thing, and just, it does no justice for the show or for that particular character, and just leaves us with a bad taste in our mouth for the most part, because that was one of the things that a lot of people picked out of that trailer and just tore it apart. But I digress. Moving on to the next bad thing about this show, because this is not about tearing the show apart, but it is about pointing out things that will probably lead to the cancellation. The dialogue. It was definitely weak in a lot of areas, and the way some of these characters delivered it. It could be the acting, it could be the writing, the way that they're trying to figure out who these characters are and where they're trying to take them and everything. But one of the biggest ones, I guess, for me anyways, was Turner Hayes, which is supposed to be Batman's adopted son. I don't know if it's because maybe this particular person is new to acting or is just not used to carrying an entire show. But the way that he delivered some of his lines, I didn't buy it. I didn't care for what he had to say and everything, and it didn't do anything for me. And it's not to say that he's not a good actor, but I have a hard time believing what he's saying. And again, maybe he's just not ready, or maybe it was just because it was the premiere episode. But carrying an entire show, he's supposed to be like one of the main characters of the show, and I found myself just not caring about him at all or what he has to say, because just the way he was delivering it, it just came off as ugh. I don't care. That could change as the episodes go on. He gets more comfortable with the role. There you go. That is my review of the show. As a whole, lasting impressions, I guess, of the first episode. I didn't hate it immediately. I did not watch it and then regret my decision immediately and reevaluate my choices in life. But it left me kind of with the desire, I guess, the smallest desire. Yes, I kind of want to see more. I will give it a handful of episodes. I'm not expecting the show to be really super impressive, especially with the standards that were set by Arrow. I love that show from beginning to end, even though, yes, some seasons were a little bit lackluster in some areas, but it did finish strong. It got to finish on its own terms. But going back to this show, I doubt we'll get past this first season because a lot of people don't care for it. It does have awful reviews, and the story and the fact it's another Batman story without Batman. They keep trying to cash this in for all it's worth, but not actually involving the character himself. So I guess you can just kind of take of this what you will and see what you decide for it and see if it's going to be worth any more of your time. But I will give it a handful of episodes to see if it can keep me interested for a whole season. I mean, we will see. I'm just not counting on it. But if you suffered through that, I appreciate it. And if you want to leave your comments below, talk about what you think about the show, if it's going to actually stick around, what do you think about the characters, the story, all of that good stuff. And obviously, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, I will catch you on the next video. Bye.